Many thanks for staying with us on News Central Television. Now to some updates on the jailbreak in Kogi State. The government has responded to an early morning news about the jailbreak in the correctional center in Koton Karfi, where 12 inmates escaped. These are live visuals now from Kogi State, as you can see.
Apart from getting to the root of it, they must recover every other. The remaining 9 must come back to custody immediately.
Now, most of the jailbreak here has to do with when government tells us we are going to come out with something. At the end of the day, we might not hear anything. How can you assure the people? Because even the government, by the press statement this morning, says that it's not a jailbreak, it's an escape.
Yes.
How can the government assure the people of the state and the nation that this one they will definitely get to the root of it?
This is a federal agency. The state can only work with the federal agencies. When they get to the root of the matter, it is not Kogi State that will give you or publish the report. I'm sure the Minister of Interior will always work to get the right information to the public at any given time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. Here at Koton Karfi, we're still here at Koton Karfi, where the Controller General of Prisons had just announced that there was an escape by 12 inmates in the prison, and we also hear that 3 of them have been re-arrested and 9 are still on the loose. We hope to bring you more details as they unfold.
All right, Marshall, I mean, we have been following the story, and as you're there live, giving us updates, he did mention something about the 9 remaining inmates. Does it mean that they have tabs on a few of them, or they're still trying to chase the others? Marshall, if you can hear me, I heard him mention that they're trying to keep tabs on the 9 remaining inmates. All right, unfortunately, we can't establish connection with Marshall's audio right now, but he's still there monitoring the situation, and definitely as it unfolds, is going to bring us up to speed. You're still live with us on the news. And then we continue in River State, where suspended River State Governor Simeola Fubara has denied any links to militant groups and warned against attempts to incite violence or economic sabotage in his name. In a statement released on Monday by his chief press secretary, Nelson Chukwudi, Fubara has dismissed viral videos alleging explosions at oil and gas installations in River State, calling them fake and malicious. He urged security agencies to investigate the sources of the videos and take action against those responsible. Now, Fubara reiterated that he has no affiliation with militants and remains committed to maintaining peace in the state. He also warned those spreading falsehoods online, stressing that governance and development can only thrive in a stable environment, and urging security forces to hold perpetrators accountable. Now, in the meantime, former Senate President Adolphus Wabara has condemned President Bola Tinubu's decision to declare a state of emergency in River State, calling it unconstitutional. Wabara described the move as a grave assault on democracy and urged an immediate reversal. His statement follows a lawsuit filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, against President Tinubu, challenging the legality of the suspension of Governor Simeola Fubara and other elected officials. Now, Tinubu defended the decision, citing rising political tensions. However, critics, including opposition leaders and former President Goodluck Jonathan, have called it a dangerous precedent. Meanwhile, SERAP has sought a court order to overturn the suspension and the appointment of a sole administrator. The lawsuit argues that the action violates Nigeria's constitution and international human rights commitments. No date has been set for the hearing. All right, in continuation of the jailbreak situation in Kogi State, we currently have Marshall, who is there on standby to give us more updates. Marshall, good afternoon. If you can hear me, you were telling us about the update on the situation, and I did mention that, you know, in his speech, he talked about having tabs on 9 of the inmates. Does it mean that they have captured some, or what is the situation right now?
I did mention it earlier. Earlier on, there was a press release on 12 of the inmates escaping and just one being recaptured. But when we spoke with the Controller General, S.N. Nwakuche, he did say that it was actually 3 that were recaptured out of the 12 that escaped, and 9 are still on the loose. And he said efforts are being put in place to ensure that they close it on them.
Right. And what is the situation in Kogi State right now? Because, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people will be frantic. We don't know where these inmates are. We don't know how to keep tabs on them. Are people going about their normal activities, or has this caused a stir and a scare in the state?
Well, it is still a breaking news for so many people in the town, but in Categorically, where the prison is situated, on our way in here, you could feel the tension, within the community. People we met along the way were apprehensive because it's the immediate environment of the prison, and they have already heard the news. But in the major metropolis of Kogi, you'll find people going about their normal business. The news is still fresh, and it is not yet proliferated as would be expected. But within the locale where the prison is situated, few people were met. You could see that even to us, they were apprehensive to speak with us when we're asking for direction and other inquiries we're making from them. They didn't want to speak to media. They didn't want to speak to anybody. That apprehension is certainly there.
Okay, before we let you go, Marshall, I'm not sure we quite got a grip as to how this even happened in the first place. Was this a planned work, or is it as a result of a misdeed or a mistake on the part of the of the station? What is it that happened?
Well, the Controller General had what we heard earlier before arriving here was it was a prison break. It was a jailbreak. But the Controller General did put rest to that, saying he wouldn't refer to it as a prison break, but an escape. So these persons had tied up some prison officials, some prison personnel, and tied them up and gotten access to the key, and then got their way out of the prison. There is no part of the facility, the prison facility, that has been hampered or tampered with. You can find the fence, the buildings are still standing, the fence are still standing, the doors are still standing, but they had key, and they, got access to that key, and also opened the jail gate some way and then got out. And we also hear that one of the prison personnel was killed in that attempt to escape. He was strangled, specifically.
All right, Marshall, thank you so much for the update, and definitely as it unfolds, we'll get to know more about the situation. Thank you for the update. All right, that's News Central's correspondent right there, Marshall Oneye, giving us more updates on the situation in Kogi State. Now to more stories. Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a stern warning to officers against unlawful and prolonged detention of suspects. Egbetokun emphasized that suspects must not be held beyond legally stipulated periods, citing Sections 34 and 35 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantee human dignity and personal liberty. Now, any officer found violating these principles will face strict disciplinary measures. Egbetokun noted that unlawful detentions erode public trust and confidence in the police force, urging officers to conduct their duties with professionalism, integrity, and respect for human rights. The police leadership has reaffirmed its commitment to upholding human rights while ensuring law and order. Now, still on policing concerns, a police inspector, Effiong Basi, suspected to have gone berserk, has shot 3 persons in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Now, the Cross River State Police Command confirmed the incident in a statement on Sunday. According to the command spokesperson, Ugbo Irene, the incident happened in the early hours of Sunday at the Divisional Police Headquarters in Atakpa, Calabar. Now, she said Basi returned from his night duty at a microfinance bank and began to exhibit abnormal behavior. It further stated that Inspector Basi refused to hand over the AK-47 rifle he was assigned and instead proceeded to block the station's gate, preventing anyone from entering or leaving the premises. Despite attempts at peaceful dialogue to resolve the situation, the officers' actions escalated. The statement also expressed heartfelt condolences to the family of the deceased and wished a speedy recovery to those injured. Now, the Anambra State Police Command has rescued Reverend Father Stephen Echezona, abducted by gunmen at a petrol station in Ichida, Anocha local government area. The assailants, driving a white Lexus SUV, had taken the priest in his own car after abandoning their vehicle following a gunfight with security forces. In a statement on Sunday, the command's spokesperson, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, said the victim was rescued in the early hours of March 23, 2025, by a joint security team comprising the police, military, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local vigilante groups from Ichida and Ihiala. The kidnappers fled into the bush, leaving behind the stolen vehicle. Meanwhile, authorities continue to search for the criminals and the priest's Toyota Highlander. Now, residents of Asaba have continued to voice concerns about the security situation in the Delta State capital. Now, in the face of their concerns, security agencies say no stone will be left unturned to keep the state capital and environs secure. In this special report, News Central correspondent Austin Azu examines the security concerns in Asaba, neighboring communities, and how those concerned are being addressed.
Asaba, the capital of Delta State in south-south Nigeria, serves as a gateway into the southeastern region of Nigeria, sharing a boundary with Onitsha, the economic nerve center of Anambra State. Many residents of Asaba believe that there has been an influx of questionable individuals into Asaba due to the security challenges confronting the southeast. They believe this influx is fueling the insecurity issues in Asaba and its environs.
The challenge of security with Asaba too much. It passed too much.
When it gets to this particular hours of 7:30 to 9 o'clock in the night, we still see some of all these boys use keke to snatch phones.
At Ibuzo, by the bypass, they are always kidnapping indigenous and non-indigenous residents of Ibuzo. So it's appalling that these things are going on in the state, and it's like we don't really have security agencies that are operational.
Against this backdrop, the Delta State Government launched the Know Your Tenants and Neighbors initiative as part of measures to guarantee security of lives and properties in the capital territory.
Not too long ago, somebody who had been terrorizing Owerri was living very comfortably in an area in this capital territory. So there's need for us to know our neighbors. You don't need to let the neighbor know that you have passed an information to us. We need to know those who are living your neighbor.
In the same vein, the Osun South Local Government Area Chairman Kelvin Ezenyele equally inaugurated a security task force with the mandate to restore sanity and orderliness in Asaba.
Their duty and objectives is to be able to identify or retain or reclaim those that are trying to drive insecurity in the local government and then hand them over to the respective authorities.
The State Police Command has assured that they are working in conjunction with other sister security agencies to minimize crimes and criminalities to the lowest level in Asaba and across the states.
I can tell you for a fact that Delta State happens to be one of the safest states around the country. Today, we have men strategically deployed in Asaba alone. We have over 14 pin down points. If you come out, you see that we have policemen strategically positioned to ensure that crime is nipped at the bud even before it happens. We use that to prevent crime. It's our own proactive way of doing the police job here in Asaba, and that is why it has indeed been paying off. Because you see that we have recovered numerous weapons, arrested suspects, we have gotten justice, we've been able to secure conviction, and a host of other achievements. Asaba is generally peaceful. And if any of them feels that there is anything that is happening around them that we are not aware of, why not? Simply walk up to the nearest police station and report.
As security agencies strive to create a safer, more secure environment for Asaba residents and indeed the entire Delta State, it is expected that actionable intelligence will also be provided to enhance the security confidence of Asaba residents and neighboring communities. In Asaba, for News Central, Austin Azu.
Now, staying with security matters, bandits ambushed a group of Zamfara State Community Protection Guards, CPG, known as Askarawa, and local vigilantes in Anka local government area, killing 6 guards and 4 vigilantes. The operatives had just returned from a successful operation led by the Nigerian Army, which resulted in the death of several bandits. Now, as they headed back, they were ambushed near Bagega, leading to the devastating loss of 10 lives. Governor Dauda Lawal confirmed the incident, noting that 3 others remain missing, including 2 CPG members and 1 vigilante. Authorities are investigating and efforts are underway to locate the missing individual. You're still live with us on the news. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, Osun State Government denies allegations of service disruptions in local governments. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now to more stories. The Osun State Government has denied allegations of service disruptions in local governments, insisting that health, education, and administrative services have remained uninterrupted. In a statement on Monday, Governor Ademola Adeleke's spokesperson, Olawale Rasheed, dismissed the opposition's claims as falsehood. He also emphasized the schools and health centers are fully operational, with local patronage at an all-time high. Meanwhile, Governor Adeleke personally visited health centers and witnessed successful childbirths in Telemu and Ido Osun. The government has also highlighted its achievements in digitizing administrative services, enabling thousands to access state of origin and local government identification online since 2023. This statement urged the public to disregard misinformation, reaffirming Adeleke's commitment to good governance and the continuous delivery of democratic dividends in Osun State. Now, the government of Plateau State has signed off the Clean Plateau Use the Toilet campaign. This exercise, according to the government, is one of the major ways of protecting water sources for water safety in the state. This development, in collaboration with UNICEF, comes as state actors on the plateau gathered to mark the 2025 World Water Day. News Central's Chizoba Anyewe was there and now completes the report.
The 2025 World Water Day began with a roadwalk by stakeholders across major streets in Jos. It was followed by the signing of the Clean Plateau Use the Toilet campaign by all directors of the Ministry of Water and Energy in all the 17 local government areas in the state. It serves as a commitment plan to end open defecation in Plateau State by the year 2030. These children were also drawn from each of the 17 local government areas in Plateau State to join their voice in this all-important sensitization program. Governor Caleb Mutfwang says nothing will stop this move to ensure clean and safe water in the state.
As a government, we are vowed to change the narrative by intensifying our efforts towards creating an enabling environment to provide clean water and sanitation facilities to all our citizens, as earlier outlined by the Honorable Commissioner of Water Resources and Energy.
These stakeholders on the plateau say they are more determined in ensuring this sad record is eliminated even sooner than later.
There is nothing that they will bring to the House of Assembly in terms of policies, in terms of reforms, in terms of laws that we will pass in the House of Assembly. do our own part as legislators and make sure we meet up to our own part of the bargain. As a people, it is crucial that we collaborate and work together at all levels of government, from the states, local government areas, and down to our communities to maintain a clean, healthy environment for all.
I congratulate Refutes State to be one of the committed states to the cause of having open defecation free. And I wish and I pray that in 2030, inshallah, Refutes State should be standing here and congratulating each other for achieving this open defecation free space.
I urge all stakeholders, government agencies, traditional and religious leaders, development partners, the private sector, and every citizen to take ownership of this campaign.
With all these demonstrations here, the question on the lips of many is, how soon will offenders of open defecation begin to face the law, as this may be the only way to ensure they conform to legislation? In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyowi.
Meanwhile, communities in Borno State are grappling with a deepening water crisis as soaring costs and scarcity of clean water continue to hit hard on residents. The price of water has skyrocketed due to limited access to fresh water sources, exacerbated by recent flood and years of conflict. News Central's Omoru Kirawa assesses the situation and now reports.
The daily struggle in search of water for these individuals in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital of Nigeria's northeast.
Ruwan nan yanzu haka an ce ya san lokacin nari naira 200 sa muke sayan ruwa, wani waje ma in ya gagara aka dan mana sauki tukun muna sayan naira 170 so da 50 so.
Duriande kamar krale za har loktu krai sai akojin kala anderin ji sautu sai rawala kariya mane dene ne kran har loktu krai sai akojin.
Tun karfe 7 muke zama nan ba ma samun ruwa sai 11 ko zuwa 12.
At Shehuri South in Maiduguri, a trip of 14 gallons of water cost 1,000 naira, 800 naira at GRA, 700 naira at Bulunkutu, among other disparity in the cost of the commodity across the metropolis.
Kawukuru ambaliya da isinalan andero banna sirra kama mara uniform duri ba duri montro le zaimbaw kurungawa adelan njide modaka de fande baw bofol de fande baw
ande banasa awshima de kuru andero sola de andero banasir kuru kwaye bohol sola so ndien ande banasa nguronde la na sandana mbeji.
Some of the major streets, particularly during the morning and evening hours, witness large number of children struggling to fetch water.
Duri sanana dunan da ba jarka me wuri so me na wala so ta nuski ara so le ai ma so ndai ba njir zo ala hidro gumnati ra kuno moda nuskul ma gardun goro so to tanari ro.
A safe haven to most families here at London Chiki Alingoshe. Unfortunately, the solar batteries and panels are also faulty, causing serious problem for the people to access water.
Gana kam to da bana tindo masalan be na da mana final landare la gana cidan cizuna wala wa warzana ira
wani lokaci yana zuwa lokaci ba zuwa ba to yanzu ba mu daga can anguwa mu dole muka tafi nan can ya yanke ne muka tafi nan muna neman ruwa mu kai anguwa mu.
For rural communities in both southern and northern parts of the state, the situation is even critical.
Chibok muna da matsalar ruwa sosai. Yanzu mu da kanmu haka da muka zo tun da yara suna gida ma bamu samu ruwa ko abinci bamu iya mun yi ba.
Effort to speak to the Borno State Ministry of Water Resources proved abortive. However, 11,629 million was allocated to the ministry for both capital and recurrent expenditures. The governor recently spoke on the intention to address the problem.
The assessment is ongoing also. But I want to assure the general public that we shall speed up the process of the assessment.
While reconstruction and upgrade of Alo Dam has since begun, experts warn that without immediate action, the situation will worsen, threatening the lives and livelihoods of thousands of people. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Tourism in Abia State has been in comatose over the years, receiving minimal attention from the government. With more than 40 heritage sites in the state, this aspect of tourism adds little or nothing to the state's gross domestic product. Now, recently, the federal government indicated interest in upgrading 3 of these sites in the state. News Central's Chinwe Ogile compiled the report.
And breadth of Abia State are sites that bear stories of the people, their culture, and past events. Some are uniquely designed, naturally adorning the landscape of the hinterland, from the Azumini Blue River in Abia South Senatorial Zone to Long Juju of Arochukwu in Abia North Senatorial Zone, enjoying no maintenance by the government of the day. It is also for this reason that individuals and communities take over government's responsibility and impose fees on tourists who visit the site before they are allowed to have access to take photos.
At the moment, we've actually been able to single out 3 of them that the state government is going to retrofit. But they are so much, about 55, and most of them are viable.
The Amakama Tree Cave, which has now become a mere wood, is an example of how lack of maintenance can lead to the destruction of such heritage sites. The tree, located in Isianyi in Amakama community, Umuahia South local government area, was said to have lasted for over 200 years, providing shelter to up to 20 elderly people in times of war.
So after now, we will move into the market to inform some developers to see what we can do.
However, in Ujali, Arochukwu, the popular Ulonta Okure, where slaves to be sold to foreigners were kept temporarily, is still being maintained and managed by the Okure Oji family. Although the house was declared a national monument in 1972 by the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, the federal government is yet to accord it the desired attention. The proposed partnership between the Abia State Government and the federal government is to focus on War Museum, Ojuku Banka, and the Long Juju of Arochukwu.
Unfortunately, it's quite dilapidated, and it's quite important that urgent intervention happens so that we don't lose a lot of the history and storytelling and the importance of the building. And also the Ojuku Bunker is very relevant, obviously, with the story of Biafra.
The museums are historical structures and sites that tell the story of the Nigerian Biafran Civil War, but have received inadequate attention.
Men looking at it needs more people to be employed here, and the government to do the needful, because the place is not well developed.
It's functioning, but it's not functioning the way it's supposed to, the way it ought to. We need more modernized tourism centers in Abia State.
If you visited the War Museum, let's say 2-3 years ago, you know that there's no motivation going around there. The contributions of the state government has not been, they've not been intentional. But now, with a partnership with the federal government towards reviving, especially the National War Museum and the Ojuku Bunker, is going to yield a lot of results.
These heritage sites and more that have been identified by the state government can become a huge revenue generator if they are developed to standard to attract visitors to the state.
And now coming up on the news, hundreds of opposition supporters gathered in Togo's capital, Lomé, to protest newly adopted constitution. We'll tell you more after this. Join us again. Many thanks for staying with us in the news. Now to more stories. Mozambique's President Daniel Chapo and opposition leader Venancio Mondlane have taken a crucial step towards easing tensions in the country. Now the two met in the capital Maputo to discuss solutions to the challenges facing the nation, which has been gripped by political turmoil since October's disputed elections. The meeting is part of ongoing efforts to promote national stability and reinforce the commitment to reconciliation. This development comes after months of violent clashes between protesters and security forces, resulting in over 360 deaths. Chapo's gesture is significant, especially since Mondlane claims he won the election with 53% of the vote, contrary to official results. Now, 3 civilians, including 2 children, were killed on Sunday in a brutal artillery attack by Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, on Omdurman, part of Greater Khartoum, according to medical sources. The strikes were among the heaviest in recent months, just days after the army recaptured the presidential palace in a symbolic victory. Since the conflict began in April 2023, tens of thousands have died and over 12 million people have been displaced. Eyewitnesses described an unprecedented intensity of shelling with 7 rounds fired consecutively. The medical source at Al Naw Hospital confirmed the fatalities with 8 others injured. Despite recent army gains, RSF forces continue to target civilian areas, exacerbating the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Now, hundreds of opposition supporters gathered in Togo's capital, Lomé, to protest the newly adopted constitution. Passed in April 2024, the new constitution replaces direct presidential elections with a parliamentary system, making the president's role largely symbolic. Now, critics argue that move paves the way for President Faure Gnassingbé to remain in power indefinitely. Under the previous constitution, Gnassingbé was restricted to 1 final presidential term, with an election scheduled for later this year. However, the controversial changes have sparked fears that the president could extend his rule beyond the current limits. The rally in Lomé reflects growing concerns over the potential for prolonged authoritarian leadership.
Le refus absolu de la Constitution de la fameuse 5e République. Cette Constitution n'a pas été changée dans les normes, en violation donc, des articles de la Constitution et surtout sans consulter le peuple qui détient la souveraineté.
Nous n'acceptons pas l'inacceptable. Ne demandez pas aux Togolais d'accepter l'inacceptable. Voilà, donc nous sommes là, promulgués ou pas, Sénat ou pas. Certains disent que le 6 mai constitue une date de non-retour. 6 mai 2025 ou pas, le peuple est debout. Et je vous assure que c'est le peuple qui aura le dernier mot.
Constitution adoptée à mon camion là. Mon camion Togovio, ça n'engage que à mes comptes au troll, c'est un wadokoya et engagé ouais, mon camion Togovio. Que mes quoi be mon nonami wa, yenami va be mi aglonobe. Dès que mi be C92 là, wa troll d'arrêter penami. Donc à mes beso queen de 87, on les représenter Togovio. Ne la ve me be ola o loyer yerena et peuple là. Il y a un référendum,
mais le peuple souverain est debout, parce que c'est le peuple qui est souverain dans une république. Nous ne sommes pas un royaume, ni une monarchie. Tant que le peuple togolais sera debout, et ça ne passera pas leur hypothétique 5e République qui veut imposer au peuple souverain.
Now, the M23 armed group has continued to control the town of Walikale in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday, despite announcing plans to withdraw for peace talks. The group, which is supported by Rwanda, claimed it was repositioning its forces outside the town to create conditions for dialogue, but stated it would not allow government troops to return. The town, home to around 60,000 people, has been relatively calm, with no fighting reported in recent days. And while Congolese soldiers agreed to observe the withdrawal without taking offensive action, tensions remain high, and local sources confirmed that the M23 is still present. The situation follows a failed peace negotiation attempt between the DRC government and M23. Still to come, South Korea Constitutional Court reinstates Prime Minister after impeachment dismissal. We have the details after the break. Join us again. Now to stories outside the African continent. South Korea's Constitutional Court has dismissed the impeachment of Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, reinstating him as acting president after President Yoon Suk-yeol's suspension for declaring martial law. Now, Han has resumed office and has urged bipartisan cooperation to help South Korea navigate its political crisis. His impeachment, initially over alleged involvement in the martial law debacle and judicial disputes, has been rejected in a 5-1 court ruling. The court has ruled that Han's actions have not constituted a betrayal of public trust and that lawmakers lacked a supermajority to impeach him. The decision is final and cannot be appealed. Hannes thanked the court for its ruling, emphasizing national unity and stability as South Korea seeks to move forward from its recent political turmoil.
존경하는 국민 여러분, 오늘 오전 헌법재판소가 내린 결정에 따라 막 직무에 복귀하였습니다. 대통령 권한대행으로서 헌법과 법률에 따라 안정된 국정운영에 전력을 다하는 한편 이미 현실로 닥쳐온 통상전쟁에서 우리나라의 국익을 확보하는 데 저의 모든 지혜와 역량을 쏟아붓겠습니다. 제가 내릴 모든 판단의 기준을 대한민국 산업과 미래 세대의 이익에 두겠습니다. 달리 찾아보기 힘들 거라고 생각합니다. 지금 우리 국민은 많은 갈등을 겪고 있습니다만 우리가 힘들게 일으켜 세운 우리 조국 대한민국이 계속해서 번영하고 발전하길 바라는 마음만은 모두가 같을 거라고 생각합니다. 다시 한번 위와 앞을 향해 도약할 수 있도록 여야의 초당적 협조를 간곡히 부탁드립니다.
Now, a plane carrying 199 Venezuelan migrants deported from the United States has arrived in Maiquetía following an agreement between Venezuela and Washington to resume repatriation flight. Venezuela has received nearly 200 deportees via Honduras, as U.S. President Donald Trump has intensified efforts to crack down on undocumented foreigners. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello has confirmed their arrival, stating, "We are ready to receive Venezuelans wherever they are." A live footage has shown young men in sweatsuits disembarking, some smiling and clapping. The deportation pipeline, briefly suspended after Trump accused Venezuela of failing to meet its obligations, has resumed after Washington deported 238 alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang at El Salvador. Venezuela has continued repatriation efforts amid strained U.S. relations. Now, mourners have gathered at Al-Haliya Hospital in Gaza City to grieve loved ones killed in an Israeli airstrike, as Israel's military has intensified ground operations across the Gaza Strip. Israeli forces have encircled Tal al-Sultan in Rafah, targeting what they described as terrorist infrastructure. This comes nearly a week into the renewed assault on Gaza, despite international calls to restore to January truce with Hamas. Meanwhile, Gaza's health ministry reported that the war triggered by Hamas' October 7 attack on Israel has killed over 50,000 people. Also, Israeli figures have put their own death toll at 1,218, mostly civilians. Amid worsening humanitarian conditions, displaced Palestinians have struggled to access food and fuel, with many relying on charity kitchens as border crossings remain closed. Business now. Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission has launched a stringent enforcement regime aimed at enhancing the integrity of the capital market. SEC Director General Dr. Emomotimi Agama emphasized that only individuals meeting strict ethical and professional standards will be permitted to operate. Recent actions, including license revocations and operator suspensions, signal a proactive approach to safeguard investors and boost market confidence. Agama warned unethical operators of severe consequences, asserting that investor protection is central to the SEC's mandate. He added that the expected presidential assent on the new investment and security bill, which will enhance regulatory powers and impose stricter penalties on fraudulent schemes, especially Ponzi operations. And to sports, the South Sudan national football team, Bright Stars, have resolved the immigration issues that left the team stranded for over 3 hours at Benina International Airport in Benghazi, Libya, ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Sudan. Libyan migration authorities had seized the team's passports after officials from the Sudanese Football Association failed to welcome them upon arrival. The delay raised concerns over logistical challenges affecting visiting teams, especially as Nigeria's Super Eagles faced a similar situation in Libya in 2024. Despite the disruption, Bright Stars have resumed, and we'll be getting more update on the World Competition 2026 as it unfolds. Now, to more sports stories, New Zealand secured a spot at the 2026 FIFA World Cup with a 3-0 victory over New Caledonia in Auckland, but suffered a major setback as star striker Chris Wood limped off injured. Second-half goals from Michael Boxall, Costa Barbarossas and Elijah just ensured the all-white first World Cup appearance since 2010. This marks the first time New Zealand has qualified directly, benefiting from Oceania's automatic spot in the expanded 48-team tournament. Coach Darren Bazzelli's side overcame a goalless first half before breaking through in the 61st minute. With this win, New Zealand joins co-hosts USA, Canada, Mexico and Japan in next year's finals. New Caledonia, meanwhile, will proceed to an intercontinental playoff for a final chance at qualification. Now, still in sports, Nigeria's sole representative at the 2025 World Athletics Indoor Championships, Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, achieved his highest ever finish at a global championship finale, placing 5th in the men's shot put in Nanjing, China. Enekwechi threw a season-best 21.25, missing a podium spot. Now, New Zealand's Tom Walsh won gold with 21.65 meters, while the USA's Roger Steen and Adrian Peperi took silver and bronze. Enekwechi was the only Nigerian competing at the event after visa issues prevented 9 other athletes from traveling. Despite the setbacks, his performance marked a significant milestone in his career. Now, participating teams in the ICC Under-19 Men's World Cup Africa qualifier will begin arriving in Lagos on Friday ahead of the tournament's kickoff on the 28th of March 2025. Namibia will be the first to land on Tuesday, followed by Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya and Sierra Leone on Wednesday. The tournament, running until April 6, will be held at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval and the University of Lagos Cricket Oval. Our teams will have a final training session on the 27th of March before opening matches, when Nigeria faces Namibia and Sierra Leone plays Kenya. Officials from the International Cricket Council have already arrived in Nigeria to oversee the crucial World Cup qualifier, ensuring a seamless flow of the event. Now, Novak Djokovic is through to the last 16 of the Miami Open after a 6-1, 7-6, 7-1 win over a spirited Camilo Ugo Carabelli. The Serb, seeded 4th, looked on course for a comfortable victory against the Argentine world number 65 when he took the first set in just 34 minutes and broke early in the second. But lucky loser Ugo Carabelli began to show more resistance, breaking back immediately and forcing the tieback. Now, the 24-time Grand Slam champion showed his class and comfortably took the tie-break 7-1 to seal victory. The win moves Djokovic onto 4-11 wins in ATP Masters 1000 events, moving him ahead of Rafael Nadal and into top spot on the all-time list. The 37-year-old, seeking a 7th Miami Open title, will play Lorenzo Musetti in the last 16 after the Italian beat Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime 4-6, 6-2, 6-3. And that's all on the news. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Also, do well to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Musugu.